Carrie, you're advocating that youth ministers, youth workers, nurturing a group with a sense of belonging or community attend to a warmth cluster. And one of those elements that you found again and again, young people report, is a sign of a welcoming community, is that it's authentic.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? What does that look like? And how does a youth minister create it or contribute to it?
Yeah. If I were to go back a few decades in my own mind, I won't say how many decades, to when I was a teenager, I remember I felt like I was pretending an awful lot. And I've heard the term in the field of psychology that young people have different theaters of action. And they actually feel like they're acting in various theaters. So this is how I act at school. This is how I act in sports. This is how I act in other extracurriculars. This is how I act at home. And that just becomes exhausting for young people, to always be figuring out, what do other people want of me and how do I measure up to that? What's beautiful about warm community in a church is that young people don't feel like they're acting. There's no particular theater there. They're just being themselves. I remember my daughter telling me a few years ago when she was 13 that part of what she loved about our church's middle school ministry is she felt like she could be herself. And she said, Mom, sometimes at school, I pretend to get jokes and I pretend to understand my friends' references to movies and TVs and songs and albums and all that. But at church, I never have to pretend. And I love that about our church, that she and our other kids feel like that's where they go, where they don't have to pretend. They can be their authentic selves. In a culture where young people constantly feel like they don't measure up, in a culture where young people constantly feel like they're never enough, an authentically warm community says you are enough as you are. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to perform. Just be you, and we will love you. That's what we've seen in churches that are growing young.